Climate change is a global issue that has significant impacts on the environment, economy, and society. The Earth's climate is changing at an alarming rate, and human activities are the primary drivers of this change. The burning of fossil fuels, deforestation, and other human activities release large amounts of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, which trap heat from the sun and cause temperatures to rise. The effects of climate change are already being felt around the world. Rising sea levels, more frequent and severe heat waves, droughts and storms, and the loss of biodiversity are just some of the consequences of climate change. These impacts are not limited to one region or one country, they affect everyone on the planet, and they have the potential to create widespread environmental, economic, and social disruptions. One of the biggest contributors to climate change is the burning of fossil fuels for energy. Fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas release large amounts of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. The transportation sector is also a significant contributor to emissions, accounting for around 1/4 of global emissions. To address this problem, we must transition to cleaner sources of energy, such as wind and solar power, and reduce our dependence on fossil fuels. Another significant contributor to climate change is deforestation. Forests play a vital role in regulating the Earth's climate, absorbing large amounts of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through the process of photosynthesis. However, when forests are cleared, this carbon dioxide is released back into the atmosphere, contributing to the greenhouse effect. Deforestation also reduces the Earth's ability to absorb carbon dioxide, exacerbating the problem. The consequences of climate change are already being felt around the world. Rising sea levels are causing flooding and erosion in coastal communities, while more frequent and severe weather events are causing damage to infrastructure and agriculture. The loss of biodiversity is also a major concern, as species struggle to adapt to changing conditions and many are at risk of extinction. These impacts are not limited to one region or one country, they affect everyone on the planet, and they have the potential to create widespread environmental, economic, and social disruptions. To address climate change, we must take urgent action to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions and transition to cleaner sources of energy. This will require political leadership, technological innovation, and individual action at all levels of society. Governments around the world must enact policies and regulations that support the transition to a low-carbon economy, such as carbon pricing and renewable energy incentives. Businesses must also play a role by adopting sustainable practices and reducing their carbon footprints. Individuals can also make a significant impact by making lifestyle changes that reduce their carbon footprint, such as reducing meat consumption, using public transportation, and switching to energy-efficient appliances. By working together, we can create a more sustainable and resilient future for ourselves and for future generations. It is important to recognize that the impacts of climate change are not felt equally around the world. The most vulnerable populations, such as those living in poverty or in low-lying coastal areas, are often the most severely affected. Therefore, addressing climate change must also involve efforts to promote social justice and equity. Climate change is a global problem that requires urgent action. The consequences of climate change are already being felt around the world, and they will only become more severe in the coming years. We must all work together to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, transition to cleaner sources of energy, and adapt to the changes that are already happening. By taking action now, we can ensure a better future for ourselves and for generations to come. This requires political leadership, technological innovation, and individual action at all levels of society, as well as efforts to promote social justice and equity.